Good afternoon, everyone.
The first presenter, Dr. Choi, actually gave us the brief, great overview of the Hallyu by introducing his classes that he taught. This presentation will more focusing on a particular field of Korean wave or Hallyu, which is hip-hop. I can see that Dr. Jo was not really a big fan of K-pop based on his presentation, but actually I've been a big fan of K-pop before that. I mean, I should say that I came to study K-pop just because I have been a big fan of Korean pop culture, especially popular music. And when I see this phenomenon, K-pop things, especially since the late 1990s, I can see some interesting things about K-pop. So today's presentation will more focusing on maybe the way how K-pop has been created or developed before the late 1990s to know more about the current situation of the K-pop. So first of all, what I would like to do here is to think about the meaning of the K-pop. I believe here everyone who are sitting in this room have heard the term K-pop before. Though not everyone here is a big fan of K-pop, but still, right? But one thing I can find here, and not only here, but like when I hear the term K-pop said by many people, I could see that everyone has the different definition of the K-pop, person to person. Some people use K-pop as only like something more related to the whole Korean pop music, which is not really correct, especially when we see the way how the term has been used among the audience, fans, as well as the media. I should say that K-pop is not every Korean popular music or Korean popular music in general, but rather a kind of genre in Korean popular music, such as hip-hop, rock, jazz, or pop ballad, and K-pop. There are many terms to indicate Korean popular music, such as gayo, which is the Korean term. But when we see the other cases, such as like blah blah pop, such as J-pop or Brit-pop, Swedish pop, Latin pop, Canto pop, J-pop, when we see this kind of genre combined of region or nation with pop, we can see that it is very important to know the meaning of this region. In this case, K-pop, we may have to know the meaning of the K here. Of course, the simple way to explain the meaning of K is Korean. So K-pop is Korean pop. But I told you that K-pop is not the all kinds of Korean popular music, right? So this is where like questions occurs. K-pop is a part of Korean popular music, not the whole Korean pop music. Then what is the meaning of K here? This is the thing that I would like to talk about. Usually, when we think about the genre, such as hip-hop, for example, or rock, there should be a musical aspect, such as hip-hop rhythms, or rock music rhythmic patterns, certain kinds of melody lines, or the composition of the instrument, etc., etc. But K-pop is a bit different because although there is something kind of musical style that you can usually imagine about K-pop, such as like boy and girl group dancing on the stage, kind of usually called as the group dance in Korea, like gunmu or choreography, but that is not all. Sometimes folk music can be called as K-pop, while rock music is part of K-pop as well. Not even like throat, one of the oldest Korean popular music genre, sometimes is considered as K-pop. This kind of like complexity or ambiguity occurs because the term, first of all, did not exist until the late 1990s. Dr. Cho already mentioned about the history of Hallyu, like since the late 1990s. So actually the origin of K-pop is also related to the origin of the Hallyu, because K-pop actually began as a part of Hallyu when it firstly was named by the media and fans of Chinese-speaking regions, especially Hong Kong, Taiwan, and mainland China. In interestingly, in the till the late 2000s, here in South Korea, the term K-pop was not used. It was only used among East Asian audience in some East Asian countries. But K-pop came to be used in Korea since the late 2000s, only after it became globalized outside East Asia. So when we see the history of the term, such as by looking up the media library of Korean newspapers or something, we can see that it was actually imported by Korean media or the Korean audience from foreign countries, especially when it became known to the audience outside East Asia. So the definition of K-pop is closely related not to the musical aspects, but of course to the nationality. But it is not only about nationality, but also related to the global recognition. Simply speaking, it was made by the international fans. So when international fans do not say this is a K-pop, then it will not be K-pop, though it is a Korean pop music. So this is a very important factor, global recognition. Then that is the reason why it is considered as the fan phenomenon or international fan phenomenon. The other things I would like to talk about. Of course, K-pop is a musical genre, so we cannot ignore the musical aspects. And usually K-pop is following the latest trend, such as the latest trend of the electronic dance music, latest trend of the hip-hop, R&B, etc., etc. But also, it should not be defined by the musical aspect alone. And I'm telling you again that dance music can be a K-pop, but K-pop is not equal to the dance music. So there are some other aspects such as performances, visual aspects. I should say here the aesthetics of music video, which is also the very important factor, which means that when you see particular style of music video, you will say that, wow, this is a K-pop style. And when a musician from other genre make a very similar music video with K-pop style, then the fan will say that he or she is imitating the K-pop style. So when we see the music video, we can easily say that this is a K-pop. And it is not really easy to describe, and I do not have much time to describe all the visual images or the important visual images that create or that construct the K-pop style, but there is, of course. And there are other styles such as industrial aspect. What I'm calling is business model, one of the important things that I would like to talk about. And the way people in the industry, including musicians, entertainment agencies, and fans connected to each other. There's a very strange relationship between fans, musicians, and entertainment agencies, which is kind of the very triangle or triangle. So it would be meaningless to define K-pop only by musical aspect or only by nationality. So these are the aspects. I did not really explain this very in detail, but these are all the things that have constructed K-pop as a musical genre. So there are some characteristics that K-pop should have, such as the fashion style, such as the musical aspect, such as the business model, something like that. And from these aspects, today I would like to focus more on two things, which is the musical aspect and business model based on the theoretical background of cultural hybridization. So let's see. K-pop is actually from this cultural hybridization. So this is one of my theoretical background defining K-pop. When we see the globalization of culture, you can see some theories have been made to explain, to describe globalization culture, especially from media study perspective. These are homogenization theory, polarization theory, and hybridization theory. While homogenization theory and polarization theory is more focusing on the power relationship between global culture, Western culture, or dominant culture, or powerful, and local culture, which is the dualism or dichotomy or black and white understanding of there is a powerful Western American global culture and there is less powerful local culture, and there will be something that the dominant culture will win over the local culture, or there will be conflict between like the dominant global culture and the local culture because they are different. What I try to focus more on this hybridization theory, which is more kind of like dynamic way to explain how the culture has been blended and mixed when different cultures meet together. So hybridization theory is more something like people, whether it be local or whether it be other people living in different countries, can create their own culture based on their own political, economy, cultural, or social context when accepting global cultures. So when we see more about the popular music studies, we can see how the cultural hybridization is happening in popular music. This is one of the theory made by the cultural anthropologist whose name is Edward Larky, when he tried to explain how a pop music in Austria, not Australia, Austria in Europe, made their own local music influenced by not Western, but the American or Anglo-American popular music. These four stages shows, first of all, when you see the Anglo-American music or US popular music that has been dominant, you will consume it more directly because this is a very global standard. Then some musicians in local try to imitate the very music that they listen to. I am making an example of Korean hip-hop here. In early 1990, when there was a big boom in hip-hop in the United States, such as the conflict between West Coast and East Coast, gangster rap. If you are a big hip-hop fan, you know what I mean. So when there is like golden days of hip-hop in the United States, some Korean musicians as a fan try to listen to American hip-hop music by imported CD or by like illegal copy of the music video, etc., etc. And there are some Korean musicians who try to make their own hip-hop, highly influenced by American hip-hop. But this kind of hip-hop was more of the imitation or sometimes even plagiarism of US hip-hop music because Korean musicians did not exactly know, or I should say did not have any know-how to make their own hip-hop. But when hip-hop became more known to the Korean musicians as well as fans, they came to make their own hip-hop music by using their own Korean language, like making their own Korean rhythmic rhymes with Korean languages, not only depending upon English lyrics, or they are also describing the very reality of Korean society rather than only talking about like drugs, sex, and violence. So this is the way how Korean hip-hop has been evolved. And K-pop is not really different from this kinds of like, development of Korean hip-hop here. So I'm quoting also a sentence from the cultural studies scholar from Britain whose name is Stuart Hall. The aesthetics of modern popular music is aesthetics of hybrid. And hip-hop may be the great example to show how these kinds of aesthetics of hybrid actually occur. So when we see the history of Korean popular music closely related to K-pop, but before the emergence of K-pop since the late 1990s, we can see there are two musical influences have played a very important role here. Of course, US popular music. No country can be free from US popular music, especially in the modern days, right? But in Korea, along with the US popular music, there is one more like very important reference to K-pop or Korean popular music before K-pop, which is Japanese popular music. It is not really easy to explain this influence of Japanese popular music in detail because of the time limits, but I should say that while US popular music is kind of role model or official or public model or musical reference to Korean popular music, Japanese popular music is a bit more kind of unofficial, in private, and like played or consumed secretly because of the legal issue as well as the historical, relationship or conflict between Korea and Japan. But we could see how the hybridization between American popular music, Japanese popular music, and of course Korean popular music occurred to create a new type of Korean music since the end of Korean War till the late 1990s, before the emergence of K-pop. So first of all, US music as a kind of cultural symbol of urban, modern, highbrow, although popular music itself was considered as a low-brow culture, comparing to the classical music or others, even in this low-brow kinds of popular music, there was a different understanding of like American popular music and Japanese popular music, or like Korean popular music highly influenced by US popular music and also influenced by Japanese popular music, while like Korean popular music highly influenced by US popular music such as acoustic folk in the 1970s. If you are Korean, then you ever heard the acoustic folk music such as like Sassy Bone Clubs or some other musicians who were very popular since in the 1970s, mostly created and consumed by college students at the time in Korea. And there was also the very, kind of like general saying by many Koreans, even until the early 1990s and mid 1990s, that I don't usually listen to 가요 or 나 한국 음악 안 들어, which means I only listen to classical music, or I listen to pop music, which is American music, rather than Korean music, because American music is a bit higher quality or something like that. How about Japanese music? Japanese music was, first of all, was illegal to broadcast and to import till the early 2000s when it was fully opened. But it was not fully banned in private because there was always a way to listen to Japanese music or enjoy Japanese music. But government sometimes named it as wese or Japanese colored music to ban like playing or releasing. So there was certain prejudice and stereotypes about some kind of like Korean popular music, which was considered as highly influenced by Japanese music, such as trot, like in the case of the Lee Mi-ja, who released his songs in 1960 but was banned because it was considered wese or Japanese kind of music. So it was very distorted. While Japanese music was banned, but many musicians as well as fans tried to listen to Japanese music and tried to imitate Japanese music because it was always kind of in the very front way of East Asian popular music to import American popular music and to make it more localized. Things have been changed since the late 1970s and early 1980s, or till the late 1980s when dance music was introduced to South Korea. There was no music called dance music till the late 1970s, but like dance music, most highly influenced by the African American popular music such as R&B or disco, became a music genre of the younger generation in Korea. It suddenly became a cultural symbol of the youth culture or the younger generation, which made it big, especially since the late 1980 and early 1990, when media was developed, such as the introduction of the color TV and other kinds of like development of media, made dance music as a symbol of youth culture, a symbol of the younger generation who try to differentiate themselves from the older generation or the out-of-date or like old-fashioned local culture. So here, dance music or this kind of new type of music, highly influenced by American popular music, but also influenced by European dance music and Japanese dance music, became a cultural symbol of the youth and trend, which now still can be seen in K-pop. And how about the business? Business is also very interesting because when we think about the K-pop, we can usually think about the very interesting business model between entertainment agency and the idol. But when we see the origin of this kind of business model, that entertainment agency scout the prospect to make a perfect musician or professional musician can trace back to the early 1920 or 1930 when Hollywood industry tried to make their star with the system called Hollywood Star System, or in the 1960s Motown record label when they also scout the prospect to teach how to sing and dance, while the other part of the label tried to make songs and providing those songs for them. So there is in this Motown system, there is a division of labor between song producing, singing, and other like related things such as like teaching dancing and clothing and etc. etc. Which showed how it became a kind of industrial processing when making music. When we also cannot ignore the Japanese musical system, even the term idol that K-pop is using originated from Japanese music industry, while the term was actually English word. The way how we are using the term idol, which means not the singer-songwriter, musician, or not the independent musician, but closely related to this entertainment agency system. It's actually from Japanese usage since the early 1980. And the way how they are making their relationship between media industry and the way how they are making their contract between the agency and idol is also originating from the Japanese music industry. So we can see how musical hybridity as well as the business model or the hybridity of the business model coming from firstly United States but also from Japan, but also created by Korean media industry and Korean audience as well as Korean musicians, reflecting Korean political, economic, cultural, and social. That is the end of my presentation, and thank you for